We are live in the Circle Leadership Headquarters studios for Whiteboard Wednesdays with Dave. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. I hope you guys are all having an awesome week. It might not be Wednesday in your part of the world yet, but it certainly is here in Australia. We're going to have an exciting whiteboard session this morning on one of my favorite subjects, actually. We're going to do a little whiteboarding on disruption. I'm going to share with you the disruption flow. Now, every business in the world is ripe for disruption. Every industry in the world is ripe for disruption. So we really need to start building a better relationship with disruption as a concept. So I thought, what a great opportunity to take a whiteboard session this morning and talk a lot about disruption, how it can impact our lives, and obviously how we can prepare for it, or how we can even possibly lead the disruption. So everything disruptive today. This is Disruptive Dave. I should have changed my name down the corner to, where is it, down there, to Disruptive Dave. So let's talk about disruption. Let's get the whiteboard out. Bring that up. Actually, I'm going to go like this for this one here. So what I want to first talk about is the way the world is at the moment, or the way the world is running or operating. Now, if you look at this simple diagram, I'll make it a little bit bigger there for you on the screen. When you think about disruption itself, everything was going normal. Okay, so we're here in the first normal and everything's going along. And then all of a sudden something came along and disrupted what we believe to be normal. And then everyone was waiting for it to get back to normal. Firstly, when we understand the concept of disruption, things don't go back to normal once it's been disrupted. Okay, so after this first disruption here, let's say a global pandemic, for example, as things were trundling along and then everything shifted, it doesn't create, we're not going to sit here and wait for things to go back to normal. What we need to worry about is, and it's not going to be the new normal, and this is the other part I want people to understand, because the disruption flow, it's going to be a series of disruptions, right? So things were running along normal, we had this disruption, then everyone's waiting for it to get back to normal. Or, oh my gosh, this is the new normal. Well, no, actually, this is just the next normal. So please understand, this is just the next normal. And why do I say that? Because something else is bound to come along in the next 3 years or so, or maybe less. And guess what? As things are flowing along, it's going to create a disruption, and then there will be the next normal. Now, why is this important for us to understand? Well, you can sit there and all the business plans that we had in the world were virtually all thrown in the bin back in around 2020 when the pandemic hit. And then now everyone's sort of starting to get back into some rhythm and cadence with this next normal. But then if you're thinking, well, this is just going to be like this now forever, then you're setting yourself up for failure again. And we're not learning from what happened here. Now, understandably, nobody could have predicted a global pandemic, or in business, you may not have predicted that. But what you should always be predicting is that there's going to be something or someone that's going to come along and try to disrupt your business, your industry, could be a service that you offer. And so you need to be prepared for that. So we need to always be preparing for the next normal. So when you're thinking strategically, this is also why we challenge people only to start mapping out the next 3 years. Whoops. And look at what's the next evolution of your business over the next 3 years, right? Because business is a series of evolution. So where your business was in 2020 is not the same as it is today. Where your business will be in 2026 is not where it is today. So you need to start thinking about making evolution the natural state of your business and have growth spurts along the way, so you can always prepare for the next normal. If you're always preparing for disruption, or preparing to be the disruption in the world, in the marketplace, then that's the place that you should be. So you start to prepare for this, and it becomes part of your process. So let's take a look at that now, and look at what does that mean in terms of the interruption flow. Oops, let me see, I'm going to scale this down here. Sorry, the disruption flow. So let's talk about the disruption flow itself. So firstly, when you look at your organization where it is right now, okay, so it's ripe for, it needs to be interrupted. This is what I call isness. Okay, isness is the death of your business. If your organization right now, just a little bit, Isness is the death of your business. So this is basically working on your current, or what I would call the old model of your business. Now, the way to interrupt your business, here's how you can interrupt your business, is that you need to start asking epic questions of your business, right? To interrupt it, to interrupt the isness and that of your business model. So isness is the death of your business. Every business model has a shelf life. My question to you is, has yours expired and you just don't know it yet? You need to start asking epic questions of your business. So what's an epic question? An epic question is a big, massive question about your business. What are some epic questions you could be asking about your business? Well, here's a couple of simple ones that we like to challenge our clients on. Number one, how can we give more value to our clients by not possibly charge them more, but also make more on the bottom end of our business? So hang on a second, Dave. You want to give more, not charge more, and make more. Yes. Well, how are we going to do that? I don't know. But that's an epic question. And when we ask that epic question, it forces us to start having epic thinking. And epic thinking then leads us to having epic results. So this interruption starts by asking big, scary questions, big, epic, scary questions. Another big, epic, scary question you can ask yourself, and this one I challenge you to ask yourself on a regular basis, all right, is how do we put ourselves out of business? So you take your team, imagine taking your team, going across the street, and then saying, we're going to set up a new business here, and then look back at your old business and go, we're over here now, we're going to go and we're going to put that business out of business. Get out the whiteboard and go, what would we need to build over here to put that business out of business? And people thinking, why do you want me to put myself out of business? Well, you have two choices. You can either find a way to put yourself out of business, which is actually just putting your old way of doing business out of business, or you can allow someone else to come along and put you out of business, and you're probably going to be out of business, right? So you need to start interrupting your business. You need to start asking epic questions, challenging the isness and the old or existing model of your business. So then what will happen is you'll start to then discover new ideas and implement new ways of doing your business. Now, this is where you start to create your own disruption in your business, all right? And then looking at creating your new model of your business. And then the whole point of that is that this new model that you're looking to create for your business should make that old model obsolete, okay? There's a great quote by Buckminster Fuller. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And he says that if you want things to change, don't fight the existing reality. Create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. Okay? So this is what you need to do. You know, being aware of disruption is one thing. Preparing to ride the wave of disruption is another. But what's going to happen, even, you know, and there's been organizations we know that have had blockbuster moments when they were aware of it, they decided to ride the wave of it, and then guess what? They succumbed to it. They ended up losing their business, even though they were aware of all this disruption that was happening in their industry. Right? Are you going to be blockbustered in a world of Netflix? Are you going to be the taxi company in a world of Ubers? All right. Somebody came along with a new model that made the old model obsolete. The best way to create disruption in your industry is to start by disrupting your own business. So creating a new model in your own business that makes your old model obsolete, that will shift the industry that you are in. You have two choices. You can either be at the mercy of change, or you can be the leader of change. You can affect the change or be affected by the change, right? So you have a choice. That's up to you. Do you want to affect change in your business and your industry, or do you want to be at the mercy at the effects of change in your industry because somebody else did it? Now, one of the things we also challenge people on when you're thinking about this concept of disruption, and this is part of, I guess, the awareness piece, and please, this is going to be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but in 3 years' time, when somebody else has built the business that you were thinking about, don't be upset when somebody else rubs your nose in a future that you were destined to own, but you chose not to action it. If you don't understand that disruption is going to be a flow, it's going to be a constant, like I shared with you in the previous diagram here, it's going to keep happening, right? So how do we prepare for it? How do we make it part of our process? Well, we always got to be interrupting it. When you're doing your strategic review, you're not only reimagining your strategy, but you should be reimagining how you think about strategy to challenge your business model. We should be asking those epic questions. What we should be doing is anticipating and acting in advance. What we should be doing in terms of disruption is anticipating the future needs of our clients. Because the one thing you can anticipate is not having future clients if you don't anticipate the future needs of your clients. So we need to be looking at what are the future needs of our clients? How are we positioned right now for those things, for us to be able to handle that? Are you thinking about your customers' customers? These are all things that you can do at the interruption stage of your business in here that will lead to disruption. Okay. All part of that epic questioning process. And then once you've been able to do this and you've now created a new model that makes the old model obsolete, and you've discovered and implemented new ways of doing your business, instead of just doubling down on your existing things and trying to be more for more, you're becoming more. You're steadily and progressively increasing your capabilities and your capacity for greatness in this disruption concept. Now, here's the thing. So once you've done this is what will happen in the marketplace. Guess what? There will be an eruption. And that eruption is simply looking at you becoming a trailblazer. When you lead the disruption in your industry, you will become a trailblazer. Okay, now, please understand that trailblazers may end up with arrows in their backs, but they get the trail named after them. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is the fact that when Uber first came out, it was trailblazing in terms of this share economy, rideshare app concept. And then the taxi companies and people around that all started firing arrows at them. They were starting to get mad at them and get angry at them because they were compromising their business model. And so they became trailblazer. Now everybody wants to be the next Uber, right? So, and as it turns out, we now have Didi, Chauffeur, Lyft, all these different other types of rideshare companies now, right? Because they created an eruption now. They created a whole new model, which created a whole new market, and they were the trailblazers in there. But there will always be those who will have a resistance to the new model. Okay, so be mindful that there would always be those people who will have a resistance to the new model. And some of that resistance can come from inside your business. Let that sit for a moment. That whilst you're sitting and trailblazing and looking how we can evolve and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people we choose to serve, there can be a resistance to the new model, and that can come from the inside. You could have subconscious saboteurs who are afraid of this new world, right? So don't be afraid to be a trailblazer, but understand what's going to happen in that. You're going to have people who are going to be upset with you. There'll be people who want to resist that. But the other thing, what you'll find then that'll follow on from that in here will be imitation. You'll create imitation. Like I said, once Uber started, then there was the Didis, the Lyfts, the chauffeurs, everybody else, even the taxi companies themselves now have a ride-sharing app. Now, here's the funny thing when you think about some of these examples. Would Uber exist today if the taxi companies just created the app? If they bothered to just create the app? Because the thing that we were upset with as consumers was we did not know where our taxi was, when it would get here, or anything like that. And maybe if the cab was clean, it would be nice, it would be great. The bottled water and the mints in the car, that disappeared a little while ago. In Uber, it's not as, the customer service inside the car isn't what it used to be. But all we really want was the app. Now, also, we're getting benefit of better pricing, don't get me wrong. But if the taxi companies had just created the app and solved the problem for us that was there, Uber may not exist today, right? But they didn't bother to ask us, or they felt that they had the market dominated and it was legislated by government and things, so they didn't need to do these things. So please be mindful that even in an organization or an industry where you believe that you're regulated by government or protected by government, so did the taxi companies. It doesn't mean somebody can't come along and make a new model that makes your model obsolete. Right? So let's look at this in summary. So firstly, please understand that in order for the disruption flow to happen to your benefit, you need to start by interrupting your own business. The way you interrupt your own business is by asking epic questions. Okay, you start asking epic questions and challenging the isness of your business, challenging your old model. You ask, what are ways we can add more value, not charge more and make more? What are ways that we can find a way to put ourselves out of business before someone else comes along and does it for us? What are we anticipating the future needs of our clients? What are the future needs of our clients? What's happening to our customers' customers? When we start asking these sorts of questions, we start interrupting the way that we do things. And then with that, you can actually create the disruption. You'll discover and implement the new model that you need to develop. And this will be the steady progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness. This is where you're starting to make evolution the natural state of your business. Right? Then with that discovery and implementation of that new model, guess what? You may be seen to be a trailblazer. You may upset some people along the way as you break through and things start to erupt. But what will happen is, after the resistance is gone, people will start to imitate. And there'll be people copying you, right? And then you've led the next disruption. Then guess what? You're going to need to go right back to here and then start all over again. All right? So that's the disruption flow. Really appreciate the opportunity to share that with everybody. If you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to put in the comments below. I would love to be able to support you guys in any questions or comments that you have. But please understand the environment that we are in right now. Okay? Where am I pointing this way? Here. So this is so critical for us to understand. There will not be a new normal. It's just the next normal. And something else will come along and disrupt us, and then there'll be another normal. You need to make sure that evolution becomes the natural state of your business, where you have the steady progressive increase of your capabilities, and thus your capacity for greatness will expand. When you're stuck, if you just keep doing what you're doing right now for the people you're doing it for, and your strategy is to do more of that, which is a growth strategy, how do we be more for more? How do we double down on the existing things we're doing? That's fine, please, for the moment. But you should be doing that on the back of evolution, not just as your core strategy. You need to make evolution the natural state, thus then having growth spurts along the way. How do we become more and be more of that? Become more and be more of that. Because there will always be a disruption. Every single business on the planet, including ours, is ripe for disruption right now. Every single business on the planet is under threat right now. And be mindful of the fact you may not know where the threat is coming from. When you think about, I'll leave you with this last thought here in concept of disruption. When you think about let's go back to Uber. So the transportation industry, the personal transportation industry. Did the people who started Uber, were they in the transportation industry when they started it? No. There wasn't another taxi company who did this to another taxi company. No. When you think at Airbnb, was that started by people in the accommodation industry? No. So when Hilton is, looking at their nearest competitor, it wasn't those guys, right? Was Netflix started by people in the online entertainment industry? No. It wasn't. So not another entertainment company didn't create Netflix. These were all started by pissed off consumers, right? So you may be looking at the people in your industry at the moment who are your competitors. However, the person the business that's going to disrupt your business may not even be in your industry, because the three biggest disruptions in the last 10 years or so were started by people outside of the industry, not people inside the industry. They were actually started off by pissed off consumers who found a gap in the market that the industry was not serving, or they weren't solving the problem for it. And they created a business model that made the old model obsolete. And guess what? Now everybody wants to be the next Airbnb, Uber, Netflix in the world. So are you going to be a taxi company in a world of Ubers? Are you going to be a Blockbuster in a world of Netflixes? It's totally up to you. Which one do you want to be? How are you going to lead the disruption in your business so you can lead the disruption in your industry? And I just hope you can embrace this concept that I've shared with you guys today. And I hope you've enjoyed today's Whiteboard Wednesdays with Dave and talking about disruption. I'd really love to get your thoughts on any of this. If you've experienced this or you're thinking about this, please also understand if you'd like your own whiteboard with me, you can go to daveclare.com/whiteboards and you can book yourself in a free whiteboard session with me. I do 4 a week. So please understand that they do get booked up in advance. But if you'd like to do that, I'll put it actually in the comments here. And if you'd like to have a whiteboard session about your own business and where you're at, I will gladly do that, subject to your ability to schedule one in. Whiteboards. Boom, it's in the comments there. You'll be able to see it. All right, guys, until next Wednesday, please. This is the last of our CEO workshop series. We're going to be talking about to stop the glorification of busy and how to become productive, not busy. Then after that, it will be Whiteboard Wednesdays with Dave every Wednesday going forward. So until then, thanks very much for tuning in to Whiteboard Wednesdays, and go out and disrupt.